Yo, 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 what is happening? Once again, another episode of, I guess, what is, I mean, at least for now, it's the negativity hour. I spoke with my council of advisors, and they were like, yeah, the negativity hour. That's the best name you're going to come up with because, like, I could be like the Nance Show, but I don't know. I think maybe sometime in the future, I would actually do like a more high effort something, and calling whatever I do that I like actually like do better. I think that would be kind of cool to save that, the Nance Show or whatever, and the Nance Club. That's a play on another podcast that I'm aware of. I don't really listen to it, but I'm aware of. It's called The Nine Club. And I listen to it from time to time. It is, I think, probably skateboarding's number one podcast. So, yeah, it's by this guy, Krob and Jaron and some other dudes. They are, you know, old professional skateboarders, and they sit around and talk about skateboarding, and it's called the Nine Club. The reason it's called the Nine Club is because in a skateboard competition, when the skateboarder gets a score of all nines from all the judges, they are in the Nine Club. So skateboarding competitions have different scoring philosophies, different scoring metas. I think they're definitely not created equal. Some are better than others. But in general, across the board, it pretty much is the case that it's either, you know, scale of 1 to 10 or scale of 1 to 100. So if you get a 9 point something, your kind of aggregate score, or overall score, or average score, whatever. Or if you get like a 90 and above, then you are a member of the Nine Club. So they called their podcast the Nine Club. And so I could call it the Nance Club. And that's kind of like a little shout out to the Nine Club, or a little play on their name. And it's also kind of clear and concise and to the point. But this is not a club. This is me. And you know, maybe this negativity hour will kind of turn into something where I interview people, and it kind of lives and grows and goes on from there. But I think, you know, for the meanwhile, it's just me. And I don't know, maybe it won't live very long, or maybe it will. Maybe this negativity hour will turn out to be the thing I do for years, but I doubt it. But so I don't want to call it the Nance Club because that's just weird. It's not a club. It's just me. I actually thought about recording with my earbuds from a location that is not here in my office at home. Because I wanted to talk, but I also didn't want to come in here to be in the office. Yesterday was a fucking baller day, dude. Baller. We had another Stew epic marathon stream at Theory Underground. I almost texted Dave this morning, and made a little joke yesterday during Benjamin Studebaker's. Yeah, fuck yeah, I love Benjamin Studebaker. During Benjamin Studebaker's segment, we talked about birds, and actually, so Matthew Stanley came on before Benjamin Studebaker. Matthew Stanley was actually with us for a substantial portion of the day, hanging out in the Zoom call. So we didn't do the green room. When we get back at it, probably next month, we'll hopefully do some more things with the green room. I love the green room, but I also kind of missed out on some things. But also, you know, Dave missed out on some things as well. Like we were both separate from each other, and there's a backlog of so many things to get through. So like I watched excuse me, I coughed. Hold on. I watched the Walter Ben Michael segment that was just Dave, because I didn't get a chance to talk to Walter Ben Michael at all the first time he came on the stream. So I watched that. I watched the Daniel Garner, OG Rose, Daniel and Michelle. Big ups to you guys. And did I watch Cadell and Benjamin? I think so, but I didn't watch all of it. I still haven't gotten around to watching everything I missed, and Dave also hasn't gotten around to watching everything he missed. So we figured for the October 16th M Stew, right before we do TUCON, we would kind of tag team that mofo, and it was baller, dude. It was great. They're always great. But this one was definitely really good. But so instead of having a green room, we kind of made it an option for people to hang out in the Zoom call with us while we were live, and just keep their cameras and mics off, so they could still, be in the Zoom call, still kind of participate a little more actively, and in the little interstitials, in the interstices, when we were airing the commercials, the PSAs, the ads, whatever you want to call them, we were kind of hanging out. And so we had a hybrid green room experience yesterday. So Matthew, Stanley, and Benjamin and Dave and myself wound up talking about birds a little bit, because Benjamin Studebakers, he gave a talk about birds. Well, not about birds, about politics and global issues. But he was using birds as a framing device. And he did that with Cadell last. Was it the Rosy Cross? Anyway, recently Benjamin gave a talk with Cadell. Fucking shout out Cadell. I fucking love Cadell, dude. He's dope. I'm glad we got to spend as much time as we did with him on our EU tour. I wish I would have been in better shape for that. I was just like in general, like in a funk, as far as like, physical health. Like my energy was just all fucked up and out of whack. But it was still nice to kick it with him and be in the same space with him, and like walk around Belgium, Vilvoorde, fucking beautiful country. It was nice to kick it with him. It was also nice to kick it with him in Paris, walk around Paris with him. And then it was also fucking nice once again to meet up with him in London, or I guess in Oxford rather, because Oxford is its own town. It's its own little enclave. So London is huge. London and Tokyo are amazing cities. I've been to London now. I can say that I've been to London now. I have not been to Tokyo. But the reason I'm kind of lumping these two cities together in my mind, and also Mexico City. So London, Tokyo, and Mexico City, I kind of lump them together in my mind because I think of them as, super metropolises. I almost said megalopolis or mega metropolises, but that's silly. They're not megalopolises, but they're super metropolitan areas. So they're, cities, and you can think of them as cities. But they're not really cities. They're more like districts. No, not districts. I don't know. They're something other than just like a normal city. Like if you go to LA, LA is LA, or Phoenix, for instance. Like Phoenix is Phoenix. Now, the thing with Phoenix is it's kind of surrounded by suburbs. So you have Glendale, you have Peoria, you have Goodyear, you have Tolleson, you have Ahwatukee, you have Chandler, you have Tempe, you have Scottsdale. And these kind of like abutting, townships, or these like uh these like peripheral cities, municipalities are a part of the Phoenix metropolitan area. They are functionally Phoenix. Like when you go from Phoenix to Tempe, when you go from Phoenix to Chandler, functionally you're not leaving Phoenix. You are still in Phoenix, but they are like different municipalities. And they are, yeah, I guess slightly different polities, right? They have you know, different. Well, that's actually interesting. I should spend more time thinking about that before I kind of make assertions about it. But it is interesting, and there's not so much a unity when it goes to things like politics and like political interest, and economic interest and stuff like that. Like Glendale and Phoenix for a while were like beefing with each other because Glendale wanted to get the sports teams, and they wanted to take the sports teams away from Phoenix so that they could like increase the local districts in Glendale, and give a boost, a shot in the arm of the economy. Even though it's not really, like this magic thing that people seem to think it is, where you can drop a stadium right in the middle of a little area and it like improves it. But yeah, like they were like, yeah, we're Glendale and we want the hockey team, we want the baseball team, we want the football team over like Phoenix. And they won. They won the football team as far as like where they're going to put their stadium. They won the hockey team as far as where they're going to put their stadium. So yeah, there's not this like total unity, but functionally, like on the ground, when you're in Phoenix and you walk to Glendale, or you drive to Glendale, or Chandler, or Scottsdale, functionally you're still in the same city. And LA's kind of the same way too. There's a lot of like satellite municipalities or whatever. And so it's, Phoenix, but then there's like the suburbs of Phoenix, and like not, or not even suburbs, like, Tempe has like a little downtown area that's basically, its own city, or Mesa. It's it's got a pretty big population. It's its own city. It has its own like downtown area. So there's like suburbs that are sandwiched in between like downtown Phoenix and downtown Mesa. Like you will travel through like suburban areas before you go back into like the urban area. So they're not suburbs. They're just, I don't know, satellite cities. I don't know, surrounding cities. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm not, an expert on anything. But I just know that, like, yeah, it's interesting. I've thought about it more than once in the past, and I would love to study it and write about it because I do think it's interesting. I do think Phoenix is a special city for multiple reasons. If you are a Theory Underground head, you may be aware of Cesar the homie. He's also from Phoenix. We've talked a few times in different places, but, collected under the umbrella of Theory Underground. But we've talked about how we both think Phoenix is, it's a frontier as far as what the future might look like for a lot of places, at least here in the United States. Due to, climate and economics, it's got a lot of unique qualities and factors that lead us both to believe it may be something of a canary in a coal mine. And it's not just because we're both from here and we love it here and also hate it, because it's like that love-hate thing. I mean, it is that, I'm sure, but also like we've thought about it enough times that, we've at least interrogated it a little bit and kind of pushed back on it a little bit, because everybody thinks, where they live is special. And in a way, it is. In a way, like, yeah, everything is this kind of unique singular thing because people are singularities. But also, when everything's special, then nothing is special, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that is kind of beside the point. The point is London and Mexico City and Tokyo are huge. Millions upon millions upon millions of people living in these urban areas. And they're not like cities proper, like the way I guess people think of city, the way the term city has kind of been put to use. They're like regions or even states or city states. Like they're huge. They're sprawling. They're densely populated. And like legally even they're like, I think London is like the city of London proper is like a 1 square mile fucking little area, like right on the Thames River or something. Like the city of London or whatever. Maybe it's not called a city. Maybe it's called like municipality or principality or some shit. But like London and also Westminster, I think, is the other one that they're like two like cities, and they're like tiny, like a half mile by a half mile, so like 1 square mile or some shit. In this like vast, dozens, if not more. I think dozens. I don't want to say hundreds of square miles, but definitely dozens of square miles. Could be hundreds. I just think that might be pushing it a bit, stretching it, but they're these huge areas, and it's complex. But so, for me, this dumb American, when I say London, I think London is this like unity, but it's not. And same with Tokyo. Like Tokyo, the way it works, it's actually like a state. The way we use the word state here in the US. And then it's like made up of like smaller districts or whatever. But yeah, anyway, I mean, and New York has some cool, interesting stuff. Berlin is actually made up of like 6, I don't know, cities or districts or autonomous areas or whatever. I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. And I would prefer to talk about something else that I know more about or something. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, thank you. Oh no. Why is everybody sad? Everybody's sad because I don't know what I'm talking about. But what's new? That's,
We're fucked.
That's not new.
We're fucked.
That's the same old shit. All day, every day. I'm very tired right now. Excuse me, drink a tea. I'm taking it easy. Oh yeah, I almost texted Dave Emu because birds came up. We talked about birds because Benjamin Studebaker is using birds as a framing device. So we talked about toucans because TUCON, people are calling it TUCON. I've called it TUCON. Other people have called it TUCON. I think someone in the YouTube chat even made a Toucan Sam joke. They were like, follow your nose. So MStew, Epic Marathon Stream and Theory Underground, you could turn it into emu. And an emu is a bird. And they actually have emu farmers here in Arizona. And you can actually, oh my gosh, I have the hiccups. Okay, you can go, if you drive from Phoenix to Tucson, it's like an hour and a half drive on the freeway. You can drive by the big old emu farm down there, and you can also get a crazy hot dog that's got like all kinds of shit on it, like mustard and corn and pickles and peppers and all kinds of crazy shit. It's like elote mixed with a Chicago dog mixed with like hangover food. Like when you wake up at someone's apartment and you're just like way out of it and you just need something to eat. And so you wind up throwing like ramen and eggs and like bologna and like Caesar salad all together, and you just eat it because you're just like out of it and you're not thinking, and you just think like, I need some calories, I need some protein, I need some nutrients. Sonoran dogs are they're not great, but yeah, if you're ever in Arizona on the I-10 down to Tucson, stop by the emu farm down there and also get yourself a Sonoran dog just to see what's up. You know, you won't love it. Maybe you will. I don't know. But emu, I almost texted Dave, just emu, just the word emu. But I didn't. So, you know, maybe that was a missed opportunity, or maybe, you know, maybe he would not have understood what I was talking about. He would have been like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Why are you telling me emu? And then I would have explained. I would have been like, well, stew, emu. And then he would have laughed and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, whatever, dude. But it is the day after the October 16 stew. So I was going to just kind of take it easy today. I didn't want to be in here in my desk like that Jake from State Farm episode, like a good neighbor. State Farm is there in my office. I didn't want to be in my office. I like to take it easy the day after an stew. The last couple of stews, I haven't been able to do that. Last couple of stews, I kind of kept going balls to the wall. Now, it may not be apparent to you, dear reader, dear listener, that streaming for 12 hours straight, 12 or more hours straight, takes a lot out of you. Streaming takes a lot out of you. And also, like, now I've never tried, so I can't say if it's true, but I have a suspicion that doing the types of streams that people tend to do, like a video game stream, or like a I don't know. What else do people like a Hassan? Like I think Hassan streams like what? Like 8 to 10 hours a day or whatever. That's definitely impressive. But he includes like downtime. He includes like head empty time in his streams. I think. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's on 100% the whole time. But I mean, either way, what he does is impressive. And then there's like other people who do that shit too, like Vosh and of course the D Wiener man, the Destiny man, and like all these other streamers. It's impressive. Streaming for more than a few hours, especially regularly, is impressive. I'm not trying to take anything away from any of these people, but it is it's hard. It takes a lot out of you to be on, for this long window of time and be engaging. Like, it's not like we're just playing video games. Like, we're actually like thinking and trying to engage and like actually trying to have like a constructive conversation with the guests, but also trying to keep it, engaging for the audience as well. So we have to perform. We have to perform in this way of like, yes, I have to show up. I have to bring it. But then we also have to perform in this like parasocial way where we're, performing for the audience, like making it entertaining, making it interesting, playing the persona that is, for me, that is Nance, and for Dave, that is Dave. Because the people you see on the screen aren't us. They're, personas. They're performances that we put on. And it's like that. That's the way the world works, right? At least to a degree. So again, it's not like I'm saying like, oh, we are uniquely amazing or uniquely special or it's uniquely difficult. No, people do this, but it's just demanding, I guess, is all I'm trying to say. It takes a lot. and I want to post the fuck up and kind of recuperate and recollect some of my spent energy. Not to say that it's just kind of spent and wasted, but it is expended, And I think if we're doing our job right, some of that expended energy actually gets transferred and converted rather than becoming waste. It gets converted into energy for others. So I'm actually, for years, I've been trying to figure out how to, I guess clarify and solidify a theory about value. Because I think Baudrillard brought us sign value and people didn't accept that. I do accept that, and I think we've moved beyond sign value. I think value has evolved somehow into a new way, and I think it's tied to expenditure, and I think it's tied to like just the conversion of resource to waste. And ultimately that, that's the solar anus. That is the sunlight. Sunlight hits the plants hit, get eaten by the animals get eaten by the workers either make the commodity or make the machines that make the commodity, and then that ultimately that commodity is waste. I think commodities are waste, or at least like in this theory that I'm trying to like come up with, this framework, the commodity form is it's a necessarily kind of turns whatever object it is, whatever the product is, turns it into waste, because I'm looking at resource and waste. I'm concerned with the conversion or the metabolism. So I think in some ways, like, I'm just trying to restate Marx, maybe in my own words, because Marx really is doing this thing where the economy is a metabolic agent as a whole. Like Marx is doing this thing where the economy is a metabolism, and capital becomes the metabolic agent. Now, I don't mean agent like agent, reagent, like these chemistry terms. I mean agent as in like the one that is doing the action. So the locus of agency is the agent. Capital is the metabolic agent or the metabolizer in this system that is a metabolism, or that Marx is describing as a metabolism. I agree with that. Hold on, got a cough. Yeah. Thank you. So I agree with that. But Marx kind of postulates surplus value as this emergent thing in this system that kind of allows humans to be a part of this metabolism, or that, that facilitates the human congress in the metabolism. It's surplus value, or it's value rather. And, surplus value is the thing, exchange value, all these things. And I think we've changed. I think global capitalism, hyper capitalism, hyper economy, I don't know what the fuck I'm calling it. I don't know what the fuck makes sense to call it. I want to call it hypermodernity. But I've received some pushback on that, and I listen, and I think it's valid pushback. But I think, I can still call it hypermodernity, because what I'm talking about, I'm talking about modernity, and okay, you have modernity and then you have postmodernity, and postmodernity is like historical conditions of modernity. Like, I do think like post-modernity is just a description of the historical conditions of modernity. And I tie modernity to industrialization. I think it's probably like more proper to tie modernity to the scientific revolution rather than the industrial revolution. So like after the Enlightenment, and then we have the scientific revolution, the Great Disenchantment, that is modernity. So I guess people are calling people are using modernity from this like cultural point of view, and I get that. But I like, for me, it makes sense in my head to tie modernity not to the scientific revolution and not focus on the cultural, the superstructural, but to tie modernity to the industrial revolution and focus on the material, the base, the structural. Because for me, like, we are at this point in time where like it's not just base and superstructure anymore, and it turns out it never really was base and superstructure the way that it gets used by many people. There's always crosstalk, there's always interplay, there's always flows, a two-way flow with base and superstructure. It's not a one-way street. It's not a downhill. It's not a river rushing downhill. It's more like the cycle of precipitation, right? So you have water that then evaporates and goes up into the clouds, and then it precipitates back down to the surface of the planet, and it is water, and then that water evaporates again. So it goes up and down, back and forth, left and right. Now we can sit there and say like base has been more predominant, and superstructure has been less predominant when it comes to, like, you know, things that happen and the way things unfold and the way things work. But it was never a one-way street. But I also do think that there's been some thing that at times in the past I've described as an inversion. I don't like that. I don't want to tie it to that, because I don't then just want to get pigeonholed as, you know, like, oh, it's just flipped. And now superstructure is more dominant and base is less dominant. Although I do think it's something, you know, like that. Like, there is definitely something going on. Cultural production. Like, this morning I just read a short little Substack piece where the person was talking about becoming a creator economy. And yeah, like I like that. We are a creator economy. Like, we're not an industrial economy. We're not a service economy. We're a creator economy, largely. But look, that also like misses the fact that for billions on the planet right now, for billions of people, they are still living in this industrial economy, or even pre-industrial, right? Or like pseudo-industrial, where they have some parts of, you know, hyper-modern structures and technology and systems, but then they also retain, you know, other more historical forms of, you know, arrangement and even production and shit like that. There's a lot of really cool shit on YouTube of dudes in you know, India or Pakistan, like taking waste and like smelting it down and like recasting it as like new pieces, like with like car parts. Like, they'll take like old thrown away car parts and like smelt it down and then like make new car parts out of all the old car parts. Or like batteries. Like, they'll take old car batteries, they'll remanufacture them, refabricate them, and then they're new. I like watching that shit sometimes. Not only is it like one of those like comfort things or whatever. Like, sometimes I'll watch like tools, like ToolTube. If I had TikTok, I'm sure I would watch Tool Talk, right? Where people are just using tools, talking about tools, showing tools. Like, it's just about tools, hammers, and, you know, pneumatic hammers and electric screw guns and hatchets and screwdrivers, and it's just tools. But that's like a comfort thing. Like I find myself when I have that on, it's like it's like doom scrolling, but it's not doom scrolling. It's just like head empty scrolling. But I'll also watch this like third world manufacturing videos as well sometimes, because it's, I guess, some kind of comfort or some kind of maybe non-comfort. But it's also interesting, and it's also like, well, it's interesting to see like, oh, that's cool how they did that. That's cool how they did that. But it's also interesting from this thing because it shows a world that, like, you know, it's a mixture of the past and even the future, right? So it's interesting. So it is the case that we are kind of a content society or a creator economy rather than an industrial or a service economy. But it is also true at the same time that there are people who are still industrial societies. There are places around the world, like parts of Asia, I'm sure, where they're a service economy. Like all they do is tourism. They have nothing else going for them because they've been fucking stripped by empire, right? Their bananas, their sugar, their, you know, bamboo, all their natural resources have just been like exhausted. And so all they have left, all they got going for them is tourism. But anyway, yeah, so it's not just an inversion, but there has been some changes, and I think things are still changing too. I think we are living in a time of transition. Nothing is certain. But I think because of all these changes, it's no longer about surplus value. It is about the churn. It is about converting resources into commodities. And for my purposes, the commodity is waste. The commodity form is a form of waste. So even if it's a useful product, even if it has use value, that is eradicated by the commodity form itself. So kind of like how that use value gets eradicated or covered over by exchange value, and how even these things get kind of eradicated or covered over by signed value. I think now these things get eradicated or covered over by what for a while I was calling waste value, which is just stupid and kind of incoherent. But look, I'm working this out. I've been thinking about it for years. I will continue to think about it for years. I may never finish thinking about it. Maybe someone will come along and explain to me why I'm wrong about this. Or maybe someone will, you know, pick it up and take it and like really flesh it out because I won't be able to. But look, that's where I'm at. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I've been thinking. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm coming from. So the commodity is waste. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm talking about this right now. Oh, because expenditure, conversion, what I aim to do, what we aim to do is when we're doing these long fucking streams, we're trying not to waste our energy, not to waste our attention, not to waste our thought, and have it just become some fucking random bullshit on YouTube or on the internet or whatever that just in one ear right out the other doesn't really do anything. But we really are trying to, rather than just convert, and keep in mind here, I'm convert is standing in for the churn, for the process, waste, resource to waste, right? So that's what I mean when I'm saying convert. We're trying not to convert. We're trying to transfer, or maybe transubstantiate, or do something else where we're taking our energy and it flows into others and it becomes a viable, available resource for others to use, not just waste. So, and if we're doing our jobs properly, you know, if we're keeping ourselves locked in, hopefully that's what happens. So we are expending energy, but we're not wasting it. So it is spent energy, but it's not wasted energy. We spend it on, you know, on the audience. Maybe not everyone in the audience, maybe only a few people, but like, that's the intention. The intention is to spend that energy without that energy disappearing, but to spend it in a constructive, pro-social way so that it actually becomes available energy or a readily available resource for others to use. But it takes a lot. So day after Emus, I prefer to post up, and I planned on just posting up, but then I wanted to talk a little bit. So I thought about recording on my earbuds from my cell phone and then uploading it that way, which I'm sure that is something I will do in the future at some point, but it's loud outside my house. I remember I got these construction workers in the neighborhood working, so it's too loud to sit out front and do it. And even out back, it was noisy, and I'm sure actually with, you know, the super duper awesome megapixel phone technology, I'm sure that they would actually have a good, you know, noise removal and noise repair process. So I'm sure it would actually sound fine if I were to sit in my backyard and do this. But yeah, I didn't want to do this or whatever. I was just like, yeah, you know what, homie, I'm just gonna sit on my booty in the office with the air conditioning, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna record this. And what in the F, dude? What is, oh my gosh, dude, I'm sorry, I'm getting notifications from my apps. My apps need to update, but my apps aren't updating. I fucking hate that, dude. Like, shit, I remember when shit just worked and you didn't have to like do anything, dude. But now, like, technology sucks. Technology is getting worse. Bram, Strange Exiles, just posted a nice fucking post on his Substack, Strange Exiles. God from the Machine. It was a really good post. Hold on. Let me make sure where you're at. God from a Machine on storytelling in the singularity. So Bram wrote a nice piece about AI and super intelligence and are the stories we tell about it in fiction, and it was great. I replied to it. I'm going to read it again because I want to reply to it, not just in a comment form, but I actually want to write a proper response to it. So I will be doing that at some point. I don't know when. But in the little comment that I did leave, I talked about enshittification. Like, things are just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Because that's how it's been. Like, 5 years ago, shit was better as far as like apps and platforms and cell phones. Like, they were just better. Now, I'm not just doing this like rose tinted nostalgia goggles, although I do that. And I was actually accused of doing something like that yesterday by someone in the YouTube chat. And that shows me that you weren't listening to what I was saying. Or, and this is very likely, I wasn't clearly saying what I thought I was saying. But I was accused of doing the nostalgia thing. Oh yeah, there's something wonderful that we can go back to. I fucking hate that. I did not say that. What I did say is that currently we are not capable of communication. So we were on with Rachel Haywire. She writes The Cultural Futurist here on Substack. And that was great. Definitely interesting. definitely gave me some things to think about. And I like her take that every barista is a cult leader now, or every cult, or the cult leader is the new barista. I like her take. I like her approach. I like where she's coming from. But I do think there's things she's missing, and that could be intentional bracketing. It could not be. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and be like, this bitch is dumb, because I don't think so. I think she's very intelligent. I think she's very witty and charismatic. I like what she's doing. But like, my perspective posits something that I think she's missing. And my perspective posits that we're not capable of creating art through the mediums that people are trying to use to create art. Now, I reached this position when I was thinking about thought. We were thinking about the development of milieus. So this goes back to Cadell Last and Dave McCarriker's scene to milieu. We're in a scene. The internet, as such, is a scene, and we're part of it, and we're part of the theory scene, right? What is theory? Well, hold on, I got to take a drink. Hold on 1 second. Let me take a drink. I got to take another drink because my tea is cold now, and I prefer warm tea, not cold tea. So I'm over here drinking cold tea.
We're fucked. We're fucked. We're
Damn.
fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked.
But it's all gone now, so I'll stop drinking tea, and I'll finish recording this episode soon. This will be a shorter one. Hold on, let me collect my thoughts. Where was I, dude? Cadell, scene to milieu. Cadell Last, shout out Philosophy Portal, the motherfucking homie, the motherfucking road dog. Fucking love Cadell. Cadell, motherfucking Last is the homie. He's definitely not last. He's first. Cadell first. Scene to milieu. Theory scene. So the internet, it's full of scenes, right? It's this vast broken mirror. And these shards are all scenes. All these little shards are little scenes. So you're in the punk rock scene, or you're in the fucking skateboarding scene, or the hip hop, or the fucking this and the that. Like, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, whatever your niche consumer grouping is, it's a scene. And we're over here in the theory scene. And what is theory? First of all, what is theory? That's a question that I think maybe some people take for granted. And maybe some people are like, yeah, legitimately, what is theory? People I talk to most often, take that back, not most often, because I do, in fact, spend an awful lot of time talking to people here in this developing milieu. But the people that I spend physical time with in physical space rather than digital space, they don't know what theory is. Like, they're like, what do you mean? Like, that's stupid. You sound stupid. Like, you sound like you're saying something wrong. They know what philosophy is, or they have an idea of what philosophy is. Oh, Plato. Oh, Aristotle. Maybe they've heard of Karl Marx. Maybe they've heard of Heidegger. Maybe they've heard of Kant and Descartes. But that's about it. They think, well, shit, going back to our conversation with Rachel Haywire again, where Dave brought up Terrence Howard. Hold on. Goodness gracious, dude. So they think, well, Terrence Howard might be just as valid a philosopher as Plato and Aristotle, right? Because they think, oh, Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, those guys were around, thousands of years ago. They're clearly just as mystical as guys like Terrence Howard or Russell Brand. So what's the difference, right? But at least they have like some idea of philosophy. They have some idea of like critical thinking, critical investigation into the world around you. And so they're like, yeah, philosophy. And so at least people understand understand some part of what I'm trying to say when I tell them I'm into philosophy. When I tell them I'm into theory, they're like, what? I'm like, theory. And they're like, what? Huh? I'm like, critical theory, maybe? And they're like, oh, you mean like critical race theory? Like that stuff I heard about a few years ago, and then I suddenly stopped hearing about it. You're into that? And I'm like, well, actually, that is kind of like a gross perversion of what I'm really into. But then it becomes like this fucking like, you know, no true Scotsman thing, and it becomes this weird conversation where I'm like, well, yeah, critical theory, but critical race theory was this kind of sensational media thing. Blah 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 blah. I mean, it's also like a real thing, and like I think there's maybe like, look, man, that's a slippery fish, right? You try to reach your hand into the currents, this fucking, you know, this flowing fucking stream that is the internet. You try to reach your hand down in there and grab that fish and pull it out so you can really examine it. That motherfucker's slippery, dude. That dude's gonna get away. And it's probably best if you get a group of homies together and you kind of erect a net, right? And then you like try to bait the fish, or, you know, do kind of something, or maybe you study the currents of the ocean or the river, and you're like, all right, we're going to hunker down. We're going to set up shop, and we're going to study the fluid dynamics of this river to see where the best place to construct our net is. And then we're also going to study like the mating and migrating seasons and tendencies of these fish, so we know when to erect our net. Then you go, so you've done all this work, all this research, you had friends help you build the net because you can't do it on your own. And then, you know, you catch the fish, and then you get specialized equipment to actually get it out and examine the fish. But trying to do it by yourself, just sticking your hand in the river, that bitch is about to slip out of your hand, dude. There's really nothing you can do about it. Really, the only way you can study that fish is to kind of do this, have this infrastructure behind it. Study the riverbed. Study fluid dynamics, you know, study the way water works. Survey the rocks and the dirt and the soil composition, and get all, you know, as much info as you can about the river as a physical thing. And then you got to study the fish, like the biological habits of the fish and blah, blah, blah. That's the only way to study fish. Sticking your hand into the river and grabbing one out, while it can work, it can be done. And maybe sometimes there are brave leaps forward from one dude slamming their hand down in that river and grabbing that slippy son of a bitch and pulling it out. Can happen. You know what? And I'm not saying I'm not out here putting my hand in the river. You know, I like to go hand fishing too sometimes. I think we need that kind of maverick, intrepid spirit. But I'm also not, I don't plan on those slippery fish, right? I plan on the fish that gets caught by the net, right? And if we manage to catch a slippery fish by hand, fucking hallelujah. But if we want fish, we're going to do it the long way. We're going to do it the hard way, because we want to be sure that we're actually going to catch fish, not have them bitches slip right out of our hands. But anyway, dude, yeah. Thank you. That was actually a good little analogy. I like analogies. I like to use analogies. I like to think in analogies. I like to talk in analogies. And I have a fucking drum roll? I don't. Like a ba-dum-tis. I don't have a ba-dum-tis. Damn. I have this. I was about to go ba-dum-tis. Because I thought a funny joke in my head that I didn't say. And it was about the fact that analogy, analysis, anal. I was about to make an anal joke, but I don't need to. So if I would have hit the drum hit, then you guys would have had.
You guys would have been like this. Watch. What are you talking about? You would have been like, shit. Hold on. Fuck. Hold on. Shit. Hold on. Why did you hit the drum? You didn't make a joke. All I heard was awesome intelligent making very observations. Definitely. So why did you make this? You know, something like one?
No, not this one either. Oh, shit, where'd it go?
Oh, okay. Here it is. I would have been like... Oh, wait, hold on.
And then I would.
Oh my god, dude. What is happening? I don't even know.
What I'm talking about. Slippery fish, critical race theory. Yeah. Critical theory. Right. So I just, most of the time when I talk to people, I don't tell them I'm into theory. I don't tell them I do theory because they don't know what it means. And it becomes, ultimately becomes a non-productive conversation because they either think, oh, I'm doing critical race theory and I'm to be avoided, or they think I'm doing critical race theory. That means, let's support black businesses and, not worry about material conditions. Let's just worry about identity categories, more black business people. We don't need to change anything structurally. We just need to give more black people grants so they can start their own small businesses. Tyler Perry, dude. Tyler Perry sucks, dude. I don't like Tyler Perry. I think he's an opportunistic dickhead. But anyway, yeah. So just philosophy. That's it. Most of the time I just tell people I'm into philosophy and they're like, oh yeah, like what? And I'll be like, well, yeah, you start with Plato, Socrates, Aristotle. Then you go on to like Kant, Descartes, Copernicus. And then, you do some Karl Marx, no harm, no foul. But I mean, shit, a lot of the time I wouldn't even bring up Marx because Marx is another sensational fucking topic that either gets people to stop listening to you because they think you're an evil Satanist, or they stop listening to you because they think, oh, well, I haven't read Marx, but I watch this bread tuber, or I haven't read Marx, but I'm part of this, org, and we go out and we, break windows and antagonize communities. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But either way, they stop listening. They stop listening because they think I'm Satan, or they stop listening because they think we belong to the same cult. So, yeah. All that said, theory scenes. We're in the theory scene. We here on the internet, we think we're all smart. We think we're all rising above it. But in reality, we're not. We're just part of the theory scene. There is functionally no difference in, taking the time to like do a rigorous analysis of something and like write a detailed fucking response or deconstruction or, quilting or whatever. Like there's no difference in that and fucking memes about fucking, Hegelian sex magic. Right. And I'm sorry, dude. Hegelian sex magic is not where it's at. Sorry. If that's what you're into, you know what? If that's what you're into and you're hearing this right now and you care about my opinion, convince me. Right. Because where I'm at right now, that's not where it's at, dude. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. And in fact, that's just going to, if it's really your thing, it's just going to further individuate everybody. And it's going to further drive wedges between people because there's people like me who are like, yeah, man, I'm not trying to, like, I don't like all that weird shit. Like, keep all that weird shit the fuck elsewhere, dude. I'm trying to just fucking keep it simple. I'm trying to fucking pay my bills. I'm trying to feed my fucking kids. I'm trying to get through life. You know what I'm saying? Do what the fuck I gotta do and keep it simple. I like normal shit. I don't like crazy, wild bullshit. I have kids. I'm a father. I'm a boring fucking dude. I don't do anything. I mean, look, there's tons of shit I do that's weird. But I don't advertise weird shit, first of all. And the shit that I do that is weird, like, I don't think it's that weird. What's weird? I like horror movies. I like listening to shitty music. Like people who just make like bad music. Like on Reddit, there's this crappy music subreddit. And there's some other communities that people make bad music and bad art. And I like bad, quote unquote, art. Now, I don't just like it for the sake of liking it. Like there's like outsider art that's like intentionally bad and contrived, and I don't like that. That's fucking fake gentrified bullshit. I don't like it. But people who are earnestly trying and they fail, there's something interesting there, and I like it. And I think that's probably weird. I like violent. Music. I like violent video games. I like graffiti art. I like skateboarding, but as far as like anything else, like I'm boring, dude. I'm vanilla. You know what I'm saying, and I'm good with it. And look, I'm fully accepting of like the weird, right? As weird as you want to get, I'm accepting, dude. And in fact, I'm interested in like the occult. It's interesting. There's some of it. I think the guys at Weird Studies do a great job of kind of finding a balance between like overtly weird and, normal. I think they do a great job walking that fine line. And guys like Justin Sledge at Esoterica and Rejected Religion. And I also like aliens and like UFOs and like get out there and do weird nutty shit. But like that's one level of weird. But then there's also weird that when it comes to like actually transgressing, like weird porn and weird sex and drugs and shit like that. And look, if you can do all those things in a constructive way, if you can do all those things in a way that's healthy, fucking do it. I'm fully supportive. I'm fully accepting. Go ahead and do it. However, there is like a line of separation that you should draw between like personal type shit like that and what you share with the rest of the world. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to go into someone else's community and start stinking up the place. I just avoid communities like that. Like, oh, this is a weird sex place. Cool. I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to picket it or try to burn it down. Like, it's like, yeah, do you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm over here doing me in the boring room where we're just boring. You can go be wild over there in the wild room. That's cool. I'm not going to go in there and fuck with you. However, I appreciate it if you don't bring all that shit out here into my living room, right? Or into, keep it inside. Don't bring it out onto the street. Don't advertise that shit. So if you care about my opinion, convince me, write a piece or, make a compelling argument and really explain to me why Hegelian sex magic is going to liberate us all. But I'm unconvinced, and it's also not a big deal, right? Doesn't matter. I'm here to talk about theory, philosophy. I'm here to talk about the world, the situation. I'm not here to talk about weird shit. If we want to have a conversation about weird shit, that's cool. Let's go to the place for that type of, conversation. And that, I don't think that's it. I don't think the theory scene is the place for those types of conversations. I think there's like a weird scene. Cool, and I even dip my toe in there, I'll even I'll wade in, I like it. I like weird shit. But I want the weird shit to stay the fuck out of my theory because I want to be sober. I want to be clear-headed. I want to be rigorous. I want to be disciplined. I want to be responsible. I want to be devoted. Because this shit fucking matters. And you can't do any of this shit with a head full of fucking Hegelian sex magic and fucking ketamine. Theory seems still, we are at this place where if we just stay scenes, if we don't move the field forward, if we don't do anything, if we just take our, conditions for granted and don't intentionally build something more than what it is, the theory scene and the weird sex shit scene are functionally no different from each other because nothing is happening. It's all pseudo activity. The world is fucking frozen. So people who think they're making art and think they're communicating and think they're doing theory in these scenes, they're not. It's pseudo art. It's pseudo theory. It's pseudo change. It's all pseudo activity because that's all that can be done in scenes. And now this is kind of Debordian, right? Spectacle. It's Baudrillardian pseudo activity, simulation, this and that. Yes, you are right. If you're thinking that This is what we're saying when we say these things, when you hear us say them, when you hear Dave and Mikey and myself and Ann and other people in the Theory Underground, when we talk about this stuff, yes, it is coming from that, but also we are trying to make contributions because we also don't think it's impossible. We just think we have our work cut out for us. We have to build systems and structures that can support the type of activity we want to do. So we're not content to just simulate this activity. You know, we're not content to just stay in the sandbox and play with our Tonka trucks and think we're moving mountains. We're actually trying to build excavators and earth movers and go from the sandbox to the mountain range and actually move those mountains. So that's my position, is the fact that people who are about art and are about communication, but they're not problematizing the medium, I think they're missing the fact that it is just pseudo activity. And also, this is not total. This is not complete, right? I do also allow for miracles, right? I think in the midst of all this stuff, there can still be moments, right, of excellence and greatness and humanity and communication and art and genuine thought, right? And the actual production rather than just the reproduction that we're all locked into thanks to capital and capitalism. Damn. I think I dropped one of the threads I was holding, but I am actually getting to the point where I just want to post back up. But the reason I wanted to record is because today is Edge Day. So in hardcore, and hardcore adjacent music and scenes, there is straight edge, and there's also hardline, although some people will say hardline is a myth. It's a boogeyman. I disagree, but hardline is like the even more militant version of straight edge, and straight edge is the abstinence of self-destructive habits and behaviors. The abstinence of that, the avoidance of abstaining from substance use, not substance abuse, substance use. So in the straight edge world, substance is flattened out. And I don't mean substance in this, like, you know, spirit substance way. Subject. I mean substance as in like drugs, alcohol, even tobacco. Now I've even known some people who say, yeah, dude, Tylenol, Advil, Aleve, caffeine, they're all substances. And yeah, honestly, I agree. They are all substances, but I allow for gradations and variations and stratification. And I do think there is such a thing as responsible and healthy substance use. And then there is substance abuse. But in the straight edge world, no, it's all flattened out. It's all the same. So you don't drink alcohol, which, hey, I don't drink alcohol. You don't do drugs, which, hey, I don't do drugs. Now they also avoid cannabis. I largely avoid cannabis. I will eat a gummy. I mean, I've had the same bottle of 5 milligram gummies sitting on my desk for, I don't know, a month now. There's 10 gummies in the little bottle. It's probably halfway full. So you think, you know, over the last at least a month, I've had 5 of those 10 gummies. But yeah, so it's not like I'm a heavy user. I will eat half a gummy. I will eat a full gummy at night when I want to relax, when I want to post up, when I want to enjoy myself. But I'm also like, so I'm not a heavy user. I'm also not a zero user, but it's very low, close to zero. You know, in some people's minds, that is, you know, functionally zero. They don't chew tobacco or smoke tobacco or snort tobacco, snuff. I do chew tobacco, and I have snuffed. The first time I ever snuffed was recently in Europe, and the last time I snuffed was, I don't know, last month when I was going through all my shit, and I was like, oh, there's a little bit of snuff left, and so I snuffed a little bit. Then I got rid of it because it's not pleasant. But yeah, so I do chew tobacco. Edgers don't. And they also, so sometimes they will abstain from sex. Sometimes they won't. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the local scene. And sometimes being vegan is included in edge. Sometimes it's not. And I think it's maybe less popular now than it was in the 90s when I was kind of coming up in the scene. You know, being vegan and being straight edge were closely linked because it was all about being better than the idiots. And it was like, yeah, we're better. Industrial agriculture is bad and horrible, and it treats animals like, you know, like objects instead of, you know, living beings. So since we're better, we're going to be vegans. And also, since we're better, we don't cloud our mind with those silly substances. And we also don't be having sex because that's also bad. We're just better people. And look, man, I will talk shit about straight edge because I think it's very easy for that to become basically some whack bullshit. Basically just a bunch of fucking dorks. Hold on. Making gross throat noises again. Basically, it's very easy for it to be just a bunch of fucking dorks. Rather than actually like trying to figure out how to be cool. Just like turning their whack dorkiness into a virtue. That sounds familiar, right? We know about this kind of operation when something sucks, and instead of doing anything to like change it or make it better, you just like flip your perspective and you're like, well, that thing that like everyone else thinks sucks, we figured out some secret truth, and so we actually know that it doesn't suck, but it's actually fucking dope. We know what that is, don't we? So I think it's easy for straight edge to be ruined. But I also think there are a lot of edgers out there who are earnestly doing it because they have found something that allows them to rise above the bullshit that was dragging them down, or that they saw dragging other people down, and they were like, I'm just going to not fuck with that shit at all. So I will make fun of it. But I think if you can do it right, it's really, really good for you. The thing is, I think, yeah, man, you don't got to get the fucking tattoos. You don't got to go out of your way to fucking be a dork and a jock and fucking fight other little kids. Like, oh, you see a little kid at a show who's clearly fucked up out of his mind, like you're gonna jump him, or you're gonna fucking spit on him, or you're gonna like tell him he's a piece of shit. It becomes like this other kind of identity politics, this other kind of in-group out-group bullshit. And that's bullshit, man. Don't do it. You can be edge without fucking going all out. You don't need a bunch of angry, young, mostly white men, you know, backing you up. Now, again, when you're desperate, when you're down, when you're low, you do need motherfuckers. You do need a whole team to fucking lift you up and carry you on their back. And I've been there. So I get it. But also it, you know, when you reach a certain level, it becomes too much. It becomes extra. You are doing too much when you go out of your way to fucking signal to the world how virtuous you are. And that's whack, and that's lame. And I'm not with that, but I'm not with that on anything. So yeah, like I don't really give a shit, you know, what you think or feel or believe or whatever. Like I really don't. I don't need to hear about it. I don't need you to broadcast it to the rest of the world. There's already so much other shit going on. There's already so much noise and so little signal. And remember, from my perspective, there's currently no signal. We're trying to build a transmitter and a receiver so we can re-inject some signal into all the noise. But as it currently stands, it's all just noise. So you're just shouting into the fucking whirlwind. You're shouting into the cacophony of fucking unintelligible, meaningless bullshit when you go out of your way to signal to the world, I am X category of person. I am this type of person. You can and should totalize me to this fucking representation. Yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing anyone else any favors. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. Do it up. Do it, to the max. Do it 100%. But have some decorum. You know what I'm saying? Don't run into my living room and get up on my coffee table and tell me all about how fucking awesome you are. Come on in, dude. Sit on down. We'll have a cup of tea, or we'll have some water, or we can have a Dr. Pepper, or we can go to fucking Berlin and have a Fanta, because oh my goodness, every American person and everyone else who has never had a Fanta, an orange Fanta in Europe, you have got to know what you've been missing out on. Orange Fanta in Berlin. Best soda in the world. Hands down. Best soda in the world. I love it. Can't wait to go back to Europe. First thing I'm going to do when I get there is buy an orange Fanta. But come on in, post up. We'll have a conversation. We'll be gentle. We'll be respectful. We can get down and dirty. We can have these contradictions and we can let them play out. But you don't got to stand up on the table and start screaming. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna maintain my composure and have decorum. And I would really appreciate it if you all would do the same too. So happy Edge Day to all you fucking straight edgers out there. I hope it's working out for you. Good job. If it's something you struggle with and you keep rising above, hell yeah, dude. Keep fucking going. Don't give up. But don't be a bitch about it, And happy Edge Day to all you non-straight edgers, If you want to spark one up for the fucking straight edge homies, go for it. Or if you want to pour one out for them too, what I'm saying? Go for it. Although I think it's stupid to pour one out because you're just wasting alcohol. And we all know how I feel about waste, right? Remember how I feel about waste?
I don't like it, dude. I don't like it.
But with all that said, I am going to bounce. Oh man, you cannot hear. Yeah, that's okay. You were not able to hear any of the sound effects. Damn, that sucks. I had it turned way down, dude. I'm actually really bummed out now. But anyway, all that said, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to post up. Happy Emus to everybody that was there with us. It was great. Cadell, Daniel, Nina, Terrence, Walter, Rachel, Matthew. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody. I don't want to miss anybody, but I'm beat down. But thank you all, everyone, for joining us. Audience. Thank the whole audience for being there and watching with us and keeping it real. I'm going to bounce. I will catch some of you at TUCON here next week. And the rest of you, I'll see you when I see you. I'll talk to you again sometime soon. Birds aren't real. Neither are politics. Peace.